The burning of the Amazon rainforest has been the focus of growing international concern, and that concern was heightened a year and a half ago when Chico Mendes, an environmental activist working in the Amazon jungle, was murdered. Mendes had tried for years to help organize local rubber tappers against the powerful ranchers and land speculators in the area, and now the story of the Mendes murder is the focus of a new book. It's called The Burning Season by Andrew Revkin, a contributing editor for Discovery magazine. Good morning and welcome to Today.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
Why the Chico Mendes story? There were others like him who were murdered, but their stories never became an international story.
Yeah, he was one of more than 500 people in the Amazon who were murdered in land conflicts over the last 10 years or so. But Chico was different because just before he was killed, he had come out of the forest for the first time to tell the rest of the world that there were people living in there. It's not a wilderness, and that they were the best people best suited to save the forest because they live in a harmonious way with it. They derive their living from the forest.
And you see his murder as sort of symbolic for what's going on in the area in general?
It's clearly a symbolic parallel to the larger crime. There are really two crimes that have taken place in the Amazon. One is the murders, the injustice, and the other is the killing of the rainforest itself. Just in 10 years, an area twice the size of California has disappeared. The
killing of the rainforest has gone on, and it's a story that just about everybody is aware of, because it has been decreed that using the land for pasture land and so forth is a more economical way.
Yeah. Well, for a long time, Brazil thought that was the best way to develop the Amazon. There were all sorts of tax breaks given to ranchers, but then once the ranchers had been out there for 10 years or so, it became clear that the land, after a few years, started to degenerate. The sun would bake the soil into this brick, and there would be erosion, and the forest won't grow back on a lot of that land either, so it was a disaster.
Mendes is gone, but the effort that he started continues on, and you've brought with you some things that many people in the area believe can make that area viable for the people who live there. Why don't I hold the box and you take the things out and talk about them?
Well, he was a rubber tapper, and rubber tappers make a living, as they have for the last century, harvesting products from the rainforest. And one of those, of course, is rubber itself, latex, and this is a shoe made the same way the rubber tappers have made shoes for 100 years. They learned this from Indians.
And that's straight out of the tree?
Right, pretty much. They smoke it. It's got a nice tarry pungency.
Yeah. But this shoe has actually been studied by some sneaker manufacturers for possible adaptation for our use?
Not so much adaptation of this actual shoe, but there are discussions underway to manufacture a sneaker over here that would have Amazon rubber in it, and that would provide a new market for the rubber tappers product. And it's clear that consumers here are eager to support environmentally positive products by buying them.
And an evidence of that is what anybody around would say is a coconut, but that's
right. This is a Brazil nut pod, and about a dozen or 14 Brazil nuts are in this pod. They drop about 150 feet from the canopy of the forest, and they're harvested by rubber tappers, and they provide actually, in some areas, more income from that than from rubber itself.
And the result of that, which we've had on the program before, is the Rainforest Crunch candy.
Right, and this is a Brazil nut brittle that was devised by Ben Cohen and Jason Clay, an anthropologist, one winter Sunday in Vermont. And right now, profits from the sale of this Rainforest Crunch are going down to the Amazon, and the rubber tappers have just, in Chico Mendes' hometown, installed a little factory to shell their own nuts for the first time. So they'll derive about 10 times as much value for their product as they used to.
If Chico Mendes were around today, would he say his death was worth it?
He said when he was alive that his death would not be worth it. He said there's too much killing here, and corpses don't achieve things, people achieve things. But at the same time, I think he'd be pleased with some of the progress that's been made. In the wake of his death, the new Brazilian president has appointed one of Mendes' old allies as the Secretary of the Environment in Brazil, José Lutzenberger. He's one of the world's leading ecologists, and he's passionately committed to saving the forest.
Well, it's an interesting story, and we appreciate you being with us to talk about it. Andrew Revkin, thank you.
Thanks.
And we'll be back with much more. First, though, a station break.
It's the hot summer hit soon to be a series, Seinfeld.
Then the check comes. We're not hungry.